Hi everyone, welcome to a new series of Angular playlist. So in the playlist we will cover all the basic fundamentals of Angular and also the workaround demos. So in this video we are discussing about the introduction to Angular, all the basics of the Angular, and we'll create a Angular basic app and also the folder structure of Angular, etc. So what is Angular? Angular is an open source web applications framework and developed by Google in 2010. So it is based on the TypeScript, a statically typed superset of JavaScript that adds optional types and other features for more robust and maintainable code. Angular has a component-based architecture, which means that applications are built using reusable components that can be easily integrated into the larger applications. The approach allows for the better organization, maintainability, and scalability of your projects. So Angular allows developers to build applications for browsers, mobiles, and desktop using web technologies like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Some of the key features of Angular, that is component-based, scalability and maintainability, strong support of two-way data binding, and dependency injection that we'll discuss in our upcoming videos, and a comprehensive set of built-in directives and services. So basically, who can use the Angular? So Angular is a popular choice among the various type of developers like web developers, front-end developers, or full-stack developers. So also in worldwide, some of the companies are already adopt the Angular. So Google is the creator of the Angular. So it is the one of its biggest users of Google, like the Google AdWords, Google Cloud Platform, and the Google Analytics Suite. So also in the Microsoft has adopted Angular in several of its products, including the popular code editor like the VS Code or Visual Studio Code, which is built in using Angular and other web technologies. Additionally, Microsoft has integrated Angular into the Azure platform for building and deploying cloud applications. Also, IBM, of another major tech company that has embarked in Angular for its projects, is IBM, which has used in Angular in customer support platform. Also, like the PayPal, Upwork, and Lyft, they are also use Angular. So these are the history of the Angular version. So in the first version of Angular 1.0, which is known as the Angular JS, that is released by Google in 2010. So that was in the MVC architecture, model view controller architecture. But later in 2.0 plus, so it is a component based architecture. So next we'll discuss on that. So currently the stable version is Angular 17, that is released on November 2023. So on the playlist we are considering, and we'll keep the examples on Angular 17 only. So let's understand what are the difference between the Angular 2 plus and Angular 1.x that we have discussed. So the Angular 1.x is based on the controller and the scope level, whereas in Angular 2 plus, from 2 plus to 17, so it is on the component based, and there is the dependency injection supports, but here in the Angular 2 plus, so it is vastly improved. And it is also in Angular 2 plus, it is mobile first approach, but here is not built with mobile first. And in Angular 2 plus, it supports the ECMAScript and that for development of Flutter. So it supports the Angular CLI, so that is very helpful. That we'll discuss on later. In Angular 2 plus, so it is run on the both in client side as well as in server side, whereas in Angular 1, so it is only for the client side. And here is a bootstrap model is a function that is used to initialize, and here is Angular the bootstrap, and it supports pipe and it supports filter. So what is pipe, that we discuss in our upcoming videos. So for now we don't concentrate about the Angular 1, though it is already deprecated, right? So we'll discuss only for the Angular 2 plus, or basically on Angular 17. So let's understand why uses Angular. So there are multiple reasons to use Angular over the other front-end frameworks, which are listed below. Like Angular is a full-featured of single-page application or SPA framework. So the product of Google and complete open source, and that followed the MVC model view controller in 1.x, but now we are using the component based. It supports the TypeScript and ECMAScript standard, and able to create the reusable component models and routes. What all these things we'll discuss on our upcoming videos, so don't worry about it. And it supports to enable the testings using Jasmine and Karma. Testing means the unit testings. And great community support and full support to mobile devices. So for the mobile devices means like if you want to use or if you want to create a mobile application, so we can go for Ionic, that is fully the Angular supports. And also if you can create the desktop applications, then we can also go for the Electron, so that we can create on Angular code. Also the another most important features is that built-in support for reactive programming. Reactive programming is a powerful tool so that allows you to work with the asynchronous data streams, making easier to handle complex data flows and user interactions in your applications. So on the later videos we will see that how the RxJS work and how we can implement in our project. So important fundamentals of Angular, like I already discussed, modules, components, templates, metadata, data bindings, directives, service, dependency injection. So all of these things we'll discuss in all of our upcoming videos. So what are the prerequisites for Angular learning? So the basic knowledge of JavaScript. So Angular is built in JavaScript. So having a solid understanding of the language is crucial. So if you're new to JavaScript, you may want to brush up in your skills fast. Familiar with the command line terminal. So throughout the installation process and when you using Angular, so you'll need to work with the command line like an Windows terminal, etc. So that may help us. And familiar with the TypeScript. So it is optional, but while it is not strictly necessary, having a basic understanding of TypeScript can be helpful when working with Angular. So as a framework is built on TypeScript, so you can learn more about TypeScript through the official documentation. Also you can go through that and you will need to understand. And also like the basic knowledge of HTML, CSS, that is also needed, and any IDE to work with Angular. So IDE means like you may use the VS Code, Sublime, etc. So what IDE can be used to develop an Angular application. So to get started the Angular applications, we may use the below IDE to start our app development. So Visual Studio, VS Code, Sublime Text, WebStorm, Atom, Angular CLI, Bracket. So my preferable is VS Code. So I will do all the demos on the VS Code only. So how to set up the Angular environment or the system requirements. So to get started with the Angular, we need to set up the development environment, which requires the following tools. First is Node.js. To get started with the Angular, so we need to have the Node.js installed. So if you don't have the Node.js, then you can just go through the link and up Node.js and we can install it. So I'll share the link in the description box so you can go through that. Also we need to install the npm. So npm stands for the Node Package Manager. So and it contains the command line client, and using this we can install the various packages into our applications. For that it manages package registry with the complete details about the package. So name of version, etc. So I'll share that for the npm I have and everything. And the Angular CLI. CLI is one of the important parts while getting started with the Angular development, and it is used to scaffold and build Angular up faster. So what are the benefits of Angular CLI? So it is recommended to use Angular CLI for creating Angular apps, as you don't need to spend time installing and configuring all the required dependencies and writing everything together. So the Angular CLI is for much more than just creating an Angular project. So what are the features of Angular CLI? It helps the packaging the application and release for the deployment, testing the Angular app, bootstrapping the Angular app, and various code generation options for component, module, class, pipe, service, and enumerator, etc. So how to use Angular CLI commands? Angular command line interface is the tool. By using the tool, we can scaffold initialize the generate different files. So to use the Angular CLI command, so in the command window we should type as npm install and -g for global and @Angular CLI. So what are the advantages of Angular consoles or Angular CLI? So build CLI's commands visually, internal terminal for the output, import the existing Angular project, and run the custom npm scripts, install various extensions, etc. So the next step is let's create an Angular app from scratch, and we'll see that how we can create through the Angular CLI. Also how we can open that into the VS Code, and also see that for the npm and Angular version I have, and how we can upgrade the version to Angular 17, or discuss that for the folder structure of Angular. So let's get started. So in this folder I want to create a Angular project. So first I need to go to the cmd command, and here I want to see that for the npm I have, so you can type of npm -v. So current node package manager is I have npm 9.615, and if you can see the node version, so the currently is node version is 20, and to see the Angular version I just hit at ngv. So currently it is an Angular 15. So I want to upgrade to Angular 17, that the latest stable version. So let's see how we can upgrade to Angular 17. So for that we need to have first uninstall the Angular CLI that we have currently, and we need to install the latest version. So first we need to type as npm uninstall. Hit enter. So to install it, so let's do it's npm install -z @angular CLI @latest. So this is the command to install the latest Angular CLI. So let's hit enter. So let's check again the Angular version. So now we can see that the Angular CLI is 17. So this is the latest version that I have. Then the next we need to create the project in this folder. So how do I do that? So currently I'm in the C drive, so I need to move to D drive first. So let's move to D drive, then copy this path enter, and here type as cd, then here, then I'm in the path wherever I want to create the project. So to create the project we need to type as Angular, or short form as ng, then new. We want to create the new project, so ng new. So the project name, let's say ng demo. So that's the project name that I have set. Then click on enter. So it asks for that which style sheet we want to use, whether it is CSS or SCCS or SAS or everything. So currently I am using the CSS, so let's hit enter. And here it is asking that do you want to enable server-side rendering and generation. Let's say yes. So it installing the packages that help to run the Angular projects. So we need to wait for a moment, and it will be installed from here. So you can see that the ng demo is already there. So if you can go through, you can see that there is an src folder and other things are there, and it's installing all the packages here. So let's wait for a moment. You can see after the packages installed, so the node module folder is come up. So here all the packages are there. So we'll discuss that in a bit about all the folders. So you can see that the Angular 17 project has been installed. So we need to have moved to this folder, and we'll open this folders or this file in the VS Code. So to do that, so let's choose a cd, then ng demo, and this project to open the VS Code, so the short form is code and dot. If you do that and hit enter, so it will open in the VS Code editor. So let's trust it, and you can see that this project ngdemo is in VS Code now. So to run the project, and we'll see that how it behaves. So the short form to run it, ng-serve open. So this is the command that will run the project in the browser. Or else if you can use the short form, then just use as s for serve and for open is o, then just click enter. So it's currently building and it will open into the browser. So now we can see that the Angular 17 project has been pop up in the browser. So this is the new templates of Angular 17. Also you can run the project in the terminal window in VS Code itself. So to do that, so let's close this browser and let's stop it. So to stop that, we need to have hit enter Ctrl C. So you can see that now the localhost is stopped. So if you can copy it and if you can paste into the browser, so now you can see that the localhost is not running, so that it is getting the issue. So to run that in the VS Code itself, so go to the view and here in the terminal window, so the same as the CLI, so here in the terminal also you can type the command and it will run the project. So do that. So the short form is ng-serve open or ng-s -o and hit enter. Now you can see that it is pop up to the localhost 4200 and now the project is ready and running perfectly. So either you can use the Angular CLI to run it, or you can use the VS terminal window to run it. So the next, let's discuss about the Angular folder structure. So this is the default of .angular, that is where all the cache and everything is stored, so that we don't have bother about that. And about the VS Code, so the extensions about the VS Code, so it is generated by VS Code only, so that is also no need to discuss about that. So let's focus that what is the node_model. So this folder contains the packages which are installed in our applications when we created a project in Angular. So if we install any third-party packages, then also their folders are going to be stored in this node modules folder. So on the future, if we install that like the Bootstrap, jQuery or other third-party libraries like the Font Awesome icon or etc., then all the packages are coming here. So node modules are the folder that contains all the packages for run the Angular application. So the next, let's discuss about the src folder. So the src folder is the source folder of our Angular application. So that means this is the place where we need to put all our application source code. So every component, service class and modules, everything we need to put in this folder only. Whenever you create an Angular project, by default the Angular framework creates lots of files folder within the src folder, which is you can see here. Then what is app folder? So this is the application folder. Whenever you want to create any component, service, model, or you need to create it within this app folder. So you can see that by default it is created one ts file app component.ts. So ts is short form of TypeScript. And also like app component spec.ts. Spec.ts is basically for the unit testing file. And this is the HTML and this is the CSS. So on the upcoming videos, we will go through that, what is component, what is services, what is modules, what is routes, etc. So another folder, you can see that this is the asset. So this is the folder where we can store the static assets like images, icons, etc. which is needed for copied extensively while building our applications. So this is the favicon.ico. So it is the icon file that are display on the browser. So if you can go there and you can see that ng demo. So this icon file is the favicon, and this is the index.html. So the index.html file contains the HTML code with the head and body sections. So it is the start point of our application, or we can say that this is where our Angular application bootstrap. If you open it, you will find that there is no reference to any style sheet or no JS files. This is because all dependencies are injected during the build process. Go to the main.ts file. So this is the entry point of our Angular application. So if you have ever worked with the programming language like Java, C or C#, then you can compare with the main method of such applications. So it bootstraps the app component and app config so that the application is run. And the style.css, so this is the default styles that we use. And editor config. So editor config is basically used to set up a team environment. So in real time, many developers may work on a single project, and each developer may allow in different coding standards to declare variables, classes, styles, and size of each character length, etc. Then git ignore file. So these files, if you want to ignore the git repository, you need to put within the git ignore file. Suppose we don't want to expose that some of the things to our repository, then that time we need to have listed here, like in the node modules. We don't want to expose that, right? So whatever the things you don't want to expose in the repository, then we'll declare here. So this is the most important files, and it contains all the configuration of our Angular project. So it contains the configuration such as what the project name, what is the root directory as source folder, and which contains all the components, services, directives, etc. And what is the starting point of TypeScript file like the main.ts, or we can add the styles here. Package.log.json, so is automatically generated. So for those operations where npm modifies either the node modules tree or package.json, so that's why it is automatically created. And package.log.json is generated after the npm install. So we'll discuss this file in detail in our upcoming videos. Then the package.json. So this is the mandatory for every npm project. So it contains the basic information regarding the project like the name, description, license, etc. These are the packages required by the applications to work correctly. And dependencies, again the list of packages we are required for applications, however only during the development phase. So we need Angular CLI only during development to build the final package. However, for production we don't use it anymore. Readme is the file contents that a description or description of the project which we would like to give the end users so that they can start using our applications in a great manner. So the file contains the basic documentation of your project. Also contains some pre-filled CLI command informations. tsconfig.app.json. So this file is used during the compilation of our applications, and it contains the configuration information about how your application should be compiled. So this file contains the configuration for TypeScripts. If there is a tsconfig file in a directory, so that means that the directory is a root directory of TypeScript projects. Moreover, it is also used to define different TypeScript compilation related options. So this file is used for the testing purposes in the Node.js environment. It also helps to maintaining the details for testing. So this is the folder structure about the Angular. So on the upcoming video we will see that how we can configure this project into the GitHub, and also we'll discuss more about that, all the step-by-step process of like the components, modules, services, etc. That's it in the video. See you on the next.